you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christian Dale. I'm going to talk to you guys about obviously health and wellness, but in a little different perspective today. We're going to think about navigating the minefield of social relationships. That's family, friends, strangers. How do you deal with them? What's the idea of achieving the most happiness out of them without committing too many resources, right? I'm all about resources. I'm all about empowerment, and people should know when they should pull out, when they should give a little bit more, and how to find balance. People talk to me all the time. They talk about their family relationships. They just wonder, is there a strategy for navigating this? It's like, oh, well, is it to that point that I need advice on how to navigate my own family? But it's not necessarily that, and it shouldn't be taken for a bad thing. One should have a general principle for how you deal with people, how you move about interacting with people, and what are your goals. I know it seems weird to think about people as goals, but in a way, they are. People in your life have a purpose. Your mother kind of ideally takes care of you, right? She may work, put food on the table. She pays bills. Maybe if you have a father, you do the same thing, right? Your parents do some semblance of those things. They come, you're there, they want to take care of you, right? But they have a role already, so people normally don't have that much problems with their family compared to other people. And then on the reverse end, we have people who have lots of difficulties with dealing with their parents or getting along or with family, because it creates that inseparable bond. It's like, okay, we're blood, so what do? Right? I can't get away from this person, so how do I find a way to make things amicable so that we just can be two cordial people at the very least? You know, you're not, get the idea out your head, whether family relationships, kids, if you have, I'm not saying you have any, but just an example, people in general, in your life, this idea that you're going to get along with every single one of them. We hold on to that from like when we watched Disney movies when we were very young, like everyone almost got along, but we know for sure there was at least one bad guy in there, at least one person that didn't really have too much of a happy ending. But and I'm not saying to accept this because, hey, there's a reality where we aren't going to be happy, because that's just not necessarily true. That's not true if you don't want it to be true. Everyone should strive for happiness, for well-being, for health, to better themselves every day. And relationships are just one of those things that have to be considered when you think about your health. A lot of people have people that just drain them in general, particularly family. We can't really get away from them. We feel obligated to deal with family because it's because of that bond that I just mentioned earlier. Look, rather than pretending or forcing yourself, feeling this obligation, we don't feel, and it's not limited to family. You have friends. You have friends who you do favors for, who you go out on a limb for. Maybe relationships you go out on a limb for. You feel like you're doing way more than you should in this situation. Way more than what should be expected of you. If you've ever been a person, you're in a situation, you're like, hey, maybe I think I'm doing a lot right now, I think I'm contributing a lot to whatever it is, whatever the nature of the relationship is. I'm contributing a lot of energy towards it. And where there's energy, there's going to be some form of stress in a way. There's going to be some form of exertion that's going to take its toll on your body and mind. So you ever been around someone where you just kind of get sick of them? I have a friend, for example. He has a friend, a relationship, not a literal, but the relationship is a friendship. So but they eventually got sick of each other, only because they were living in, long story short, living in close proximity, things like that. How do you avoid that? How do you avoid sapping your strength? Because you're going to end up becoming annoyed. Even if you have the energy, and everyone has the energy for anger, you just don't know it yet. One day you might blow up on a person, a good person, someone who doesn't deserve it because you are low on energy. You can't deal. You just can't keep giving to people. This idea we can keep going and we could keep giving to every single person and keep caring like 100% consistently, that becomes draining. Even if you don't have kids, that's probably, I imagine, I don't have kids, and I imagine that's probably what it's like to take care of someone, to be their caretaker. So you don't want to get in that caretaker position, although some people's personalities, they kind of match it, right? Some people like to take care of people. That's okay. It's okay to give and be connected and want to be kind and share that with the world and empathize and sympathize with people. But others don't have that capacity to continually share what seems to be what people think is a limitless amount of resources coming from us. We're just pulling it out from somewhere. I don't know where, but the point is, it's not. It's limited, and eventually you're going to need refreshment, and your refreshment is to get away from them, okay? You got to break it, take some time for yourself, and we'll get more into that in a little bit later. But these relationships, I really want you, when we get into this, think about how much time you dedicate towards the people in your lives, the people that are important. First of all, just count them up. If you're really kind, unfortunately, it seems to be that the kindest people, the most giving people of the population or groups seem to be the ones that are also given the most energy. They're giving the most. They're dedicating the most to relationships, family, work relationships. And that shows. It shows in their faces, it shows in their bodies, it just shows when you are putting in a little bit more. And over time, in the beginning, it doesn't seem like it'll affect you. You don't think that giving yourself several hours a week to each of these people is going to add up to some degree and make you just turn you to a different kind of person. You ever see that commercial where people are, oh, you're not you when you're hungry. Yeah, you're not you when you're drained. And you have all these people that just feel like kind of a bit of a burden. It's sad to say, but it's the truth. The sooner you accept that, people can be gateways into great experiences, great connections, great networking, right? Keep your LinkedIn profile up, keep your Instagram up, Twitter. That's great. But the math doesn't follow through. It's not like you can just surround yourself with a bunch of people and you're going to have infinite amount of energy and happiness. That doesn't work. That would mean that people who went to work would have energy all the time. Why don't they have energy? Why? Because they're around people they don't like? Maybe. Maybe they're just doing their job. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's just too much. The idea of being around people within a certain context can drain you, so you could quickly understand that work, not fun environment, with people is going to still equal not fun feelings, not a really sunny disposition. I'm not talking about tomorrow you go to work, I expect you to be miserable. No, you're fine. It's just over time, it's good to acknowledge your limitations. It's good to acknowledge when you need to take a break and ask these questions, because we don't get told enough about it. We don't get told when should you take a break from family? When should you take a break from a relationship or a friendship? How often are you engaging with each other? How much are you giving to each other? And are you getting something back out of it? That's also something to consider when you think about who you are giving your time to, your time and your energy. Are you getting something back? And is that important to you? There's a lot of those givers, which I talked about, they don't mind not getting things back, and that is truly just wonderful. That's wonderful, but not in the that's not good for everybody. Not everyone has that capacity to give. So you have to figure out, which one are you? Are you a giver? Are you a person that dedicates your time to people? Well, what does that look like? You don't mind going to your friend's place, or seeing your uncle and helping them move some furniture, helping your friend out, helping them move places, bring your 4x4 truck so I could pile this in. Great, you're my friend, so I'll do anything for you. Yeah, that's great. No, really, pat yourself on the back. That's wonderful, but we're talking about you right here, your individual health. And if that was like, no, I've never seen a doctor prescribe that, helping people to the point where you weren't okay anymore. You weren't okay in your own life. You didn't know how to move on without that kind of company, without those kinds of people, without that kind of person needing you in your life. If you start to really question people that are taking up these places and look at them and what the positions they filled right now. The people in your lives all have a position. If you have them in your life, they're filling a position right now, right? I don't need to tell you to make use of people, and people are a means to an end, and you're a means to an end. That's not, you're already doing that. Everyone has a position. If they don't have a position in your life, they're probably not in your life. There's not many people like that. Even a person without a position, unofficially, is still a position. If a person's in your life, they're doing nothing, they're not giving anything, they're not taking away anything, that's a position too. And really think about your position in people's lives, because as much as people are giving and taking from you, you are also a cog in the wheel of the great social structure, the great minefield that's out there, and we don't know where to step. You got to tread carefully for your own sake, so that you can get to the end goal, so you can cross that finish line, make the next step in your life. You talk to me about time, people, relationships frequently. Well, look at the people in your life. Look at them. Look at your position. There's plenty of time you invest in there. Count up the hours. You're very social people. We're more social. I mean, not right now, given what's happening, but we still are inside. So really think about what does that cost? What is that costing you to be that social, that available? Be careful about availability. Being available for, say, every single person in your life, so available, you're never gonna get. How do you get anything done? How do you possibly get anything done when you are consistently there for other people? And it sounds messed up, but it's not a messed up principle. It's a good principle. A principle of self-preservation. Preservation first, right? And when you get back, I'm going to tell you exactly which strategies you should go through and exactly who you should be implementing them on. And no one is safe, okay? Your friends, family. It's time for spring cleaning. All right? We're about to enter May. And if you want to be on that floating level, you got to get rid of some extra stuff, all right? We'll be back.
Are you looking to learn more about the latest trends from the fitness world? Are you confused by all of the different trends that are out there? The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place for you. The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place to come for people of all skill and interest levels. Join us as we explore the latest trends in the fitness world. Does that new exercise really work? Should I try yoga? Whatever your question, chances are good you'll find an answer on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
All right, we're back, and we just left off, for those of you just joining us, from thinking about family and what they serve. Family, not limited to family, friends, relationships, strangers even, people in our lives that take up space. Taking up space isn't a bad thing. People should be there, right? You encourage people to be social. I'm an Aquarius. I think a little different, but most people are like that and want to be around as many people as they can. But my question is, what purpose do they serve? Are they serving you? Are you serving them? You are serving them. You're serving them somehow, and you are being served as well. People have a purpose. They have a reason for being there in your life. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. From your parents, your best friends, family, extended family, even strangers on the street, they have a purpose, and that is that you don't know them, right? So hopefully we can extend that to those people who we actually don't need. We have a tendency to want to be so social, so involved with another person, other people, multiple people, that we forget the joy, the opportunity, and the clarity you get from taking a step back, from limiting your exposure to so many people, because with people comes ideas, opinions, thoughts, and emotions, all which you have to consider. So the people you're letting around you are a reflection of what you're interested in, right? And we're going to get into how that later on today, how that really can influence your behavior. I remember we talked about influence before, if some of you are keeping up. But my whole first principle is not to chase people. It's kind of like knots, and not one of them is at least not a knot, but encouraging you to do something. So I'm going to try to work on that, getting from saying away from knots and to encouraging more. But you don't want to chase people. What does chasing people look like, right? Not the physical act of chasing people, but it's an expression that I've used from when I was young. To chase someone means to be too concerned with someone else and not enough with yourself. This can become a problem at some point when you are dedicating resources trying to almost keep up with people or to follow them to places unknown, undisclosed locations, destinations. I say that because you don't know what the goal is. You don't know where they're leading you. And it's literally not, it's a metaphor for how the people in your life operate when you're around them. And they kind of get in this mode where they want you to chase them, you to follow them. Not in a grocery store, but just follow how they move. Do what they do. From when we're young, where we learn ourselves that it's a little bit better at times to follow other people, right? If you're not the leader, if you're not doing your own thing, you're the follower. You're chasing after somebody else's after image almost at the same time, because you're not really inventing things in real time. You're not creating new ideas. You're not leading other people and getting them to like you for you, but you're gaining your social stimulation, satisfaction, your growth from learning how to be like the people who aren't you. Chasing them. There's a lot of people that engage in different kinds of chase towards different kinds of people. Chasing in a relationship, for example, is very different from chasing someone who you're less romantically involved, right? When you chase a person, you're basically putting everything that you are on hold for the duration of that chase. You don't get really a clear destination of where you're going or promise, but you just go along with it. The reason I say it's not a good thing is because you don't know when that chase is going to end and how far out you're going to be from where you actually took a detour from your own path. And these people, they're not providing road sign instructions for you to find your way back home. There's no yellow brick road. It's just you and them. You have to use your instincts to know. Hopefully you have instincts that you know to use the brakes. You know to take the next exit on the right and get off of that path and just go back and do your own thing. Chasing people just isn't the right energy. It's just not the right way you want to be spending your energy. It's exhausting. They set the pace, and then you're forever playing a game of catch up with them, essentially. Why do you want to do that? Is anyone really worth it like that in your life? Really? Think about yourself. Think about the things that you have to contribute. You should be having people chase you. If you have anything at all that's valuable, anything that you might want to offer someone, you want people to explore about you, then it's not worth your time to really chase someone for too long of a period of time. It's ridiculous, really. Ridiculous, and it also compromises what you have to get done. I can imagine how I suppose if the person is there where you're learning from them, right? I mentioned this, knowing what the people in your life, what job they serve. And that doesn't have to be a shallow thing. It doesn't have to be a negative, but it just makes sure you're purposeful. If a person's there for fun, and you're following them for fun, then follow them. But if you have a different objective in mind or a different purpose, and you're going to be swept up by this person, you're going to want to become aware of that as soon as possible, because that's going to save you time down the road, time and explanations where you're going to redistribute your assets, which you want to do, to what you want to do. And we'll talk about that later, but on with chasing after people, it creates this image of also neediness, You're never going to want to or understand how to be alone if you're constantly exposed to people. Doesn't mean that you should eliminate hanging out with people altogether. A lot of us have been inside. That's exactly what we need right now. But you want to be hanging out with the right people, the people that are fitting what purpose they feel in their life. And understand that you're fulfilling purposes as well for other people. And knowing that role, knowing what role they serve you and what you serve them is going to be important so that you don't get swept up and into doing something that you never really signed up for. A lot of people like to live in the moment. It's a great philosophy for just getting through the day, but it's not necessarily real energy. It doesn't contain that energy. It doesn't save those resources for you to use them on a rainy day. It just kind of allows you to put everything into what is happening right now and not worry about the next day, which can have its uses. But when you are dealing with people, you always want a little bit in reserve. You always want to make sure you have a little bit more for yourself. That's going to be your secret. Holding back just a little bit so that you can make sure when you take your trip towards wherever, you have enough gas for yourself. It just comes off strange. It comes off strange when you have a lot of effort and a huge willingness to put in tons of energy towards in following someone and making them comfortable because you're there with them. Here's a surefire way to understand why it's such a real sensitive thing. You ask yourself if that person would be following you. Ask yourself if that person would come with you wherever you're going, your path. If they would chase after you, that's different. A lot of people chase their friends, they chase their family, they chase these people in their lives that they give a lot of credit to. They put them on a pedestal. They become these people that they idolize, that they feel that if they just follow behind them, they'll attain something. They'll get a fraction of their greatness, their looks, their charisma, their business savvy, whatever it is. In certain contexts that works, but not in every single one. You're still not convinced. So how about this? Try putting them in your position. Try asking them. Ask them if they would follow you for some time. Not literally in those same form of words, but try it. Would you follow me sometime? You try and lead. Be the leader for once and see if they follow. See if they are interested in following you. And if they're not, then it has to make you wonder. And it's not a simple, tit for tat. Oh, I do this for you. I scratch your back. You scratch mine, Doc. It's not like that. But what it does is it's going to cue you in to ask certain questions, to be a little bit more critical, to not let things slide by you. Because that means that if this person doesn't want to follow you, isn't willing to get behind your, let you be Dora and they be the map. Let them be the map, but not be leading. And you be Dora and you lead with the songs and you just do everything. And they follow behind. That means that they were so content. They were so happy and pleased with themselves, pleased with you following them. And do you want that? Do you want that? Do you want that on your record of life? There's no literal record in paper, but do you want to continue to create that record? Are you going to continue when you find out that they're very content with you following them, but not the other way around? I'd say that calls for some serious changes. That calls for some change of reinventing of your priorities, reassigning your priorities. you'll find out that you've been better off just leading yourself this whole time, whether people are following you or not, right? That's the social pressure. That's what comes with friends, family, situations, connections, fun. Is this a little bit of garbage, a little bit of baggage, a little bit of something that you pick up along the way, and you just accept the behavior. You continue, and you never ask why, and you never flip the situation. But I could save you years. That's going to save your friendship, really. Because at the end of the day, a person is going to respect you. These people in these relationships, when you turn around and you say, hey, you know what? I'm not happy doing what you want to do from now on. I'm going to do what I want to do. If you want to follow, be my guest. And it's okay to want them to do that, but don't be surprised if they don't. And you're only going to wake up to the reality that everyone should have been doing this in the first place. Everyone. I'm not saying blame them or be upset with them, but you're going to really wake up and realize that everyone should be doing this in the first place. We should be in our lanes. We should be going after our goals, right? Not be so infatuated with what other people have, what they possess, thinking that we're going to get a little bit of it and then continue on, go on with that, creating that fantasy. And this person, these friends, these close connections, these people you've known for years, they entertain that fantasy. They know it. And they use you for your company. They use you for your time. Really past the point of convenience, I'd say. It's okay to share. It's okay to be around each other. But when they start to take advantage, or you kind of fall into the trap where they've gone past convenience and into a field where it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable, and it's not being fed back to you. So we're going to talk more about that when we get back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hey, we're back from the break. Just to recap, we came from talking about not chasing after people, essentially. Not chasing after people, kind of metaphor. A metaphor for being misled and a squandering of resources on people in our lives who maybe mean good, maybe aren't there, maybe mean good, maybe mean bad. They're there. We enjoy them, but we shouldn't become so involved with what it is that they want to do. And that's all what this is going to be about. We shouldn't become so involved with what they want to do. They themselves may not be in the position or have the interest or the patience to be interested in the things that we want to do, right? They don't engage in the chase. They don't chase back. That's a big warning sign. A big warning sign that the people you are engaged with aren't valuing your energy in the same way that you're valuing them. You're looking at them hoping to learn something, putting them high on a pedestal. We talked about that, and it's just going to leave you out stranded, really. It's going to leave you out stranded. The sooner you figure out that these people in your life, they're multifaceted human beings. They all have their wants and needs and where they want to go. The sooner you figure out yours, then the more they're going to respect you in the end. All right? You're in a position where you're following, you're chasing, because that has been your role. So far, that's what people have seen in you for you to be capable of. That's what they see as far as your potential. They say your name, and that's what they think. Great, we go everywhere. We do everything together. That's great, but they don't want to do what it is that you want to do. And that's the red flag there. That's the flag that by the time you've realized that, by the time you're capable of conceiving of that idea, you should trek out on your own, all right? You should explore for yourself what it means to lead. But as you, the leader, sole leader, and the sole person in the group, you should explore that, all right? Just because you're leading doesn't mean you're going to automatically have a posse of people following you. So you shouldn't do what it is that you want to do because you expect that some people, a person like you, where you were, might show up in your life at any time and fill that role that you were filling for some other nameless friend who I don't know about, but you want them to fill that role, right? It's not going to work that way. You can't wait for other people, and you can't decide to really follow people either. It's going to really set you back from getting what it is that you want done. And at the end of the day, they're going to respect you better because you have something to show for. You have a whole journey that you decided to take on your own, regardless whether they were there, regardless of your connection with these people, regardless of the context, or whether it was a good time for you or not. You decided to figure that out yourself, and that's what they're going to respect. And you're going to have those stories to tell, all right? You are going to have stories to tell that people gather around you to share, and they want to come chase after you to learn, which I think goes real swell into the next point, which is that you should move differently. All right? I move differently. Moving differently is like a philosophy for life. That's what I think of it as. I'm an Aquarius, so I move really different from the other zodiacs, I like to think. Other people just don't understand, and I don't need them to understand. That's what moving differently is about. I'm self-sustaining source of energy with my own being. I'm good. I don't need you to be there. I don't need you to hold my hand. I move differently, and I move based off what I'm interested in, all right? Your interests should command your journey. It should command your path. Whatever it is you're interested in, it should command where it is that you go. That's the path that you should take. And unfortunately, everybody can't follow you. That's what we were talking about last time. Everyone can't follow you. I can't follow you, your interests, chase after you, whatever it is that you want to do forever. And because that's not meant for me. At the end of that journey, say I chase someone to the end, to get that rainbow, find that pot of gold at the end, and you find out there's only one pot of gold. There's one person per path, people. So don't try to get into what somebody else is into. If you have a genuine interest in that, that's going to look very different from their genuine interest in the same subject, all right? So that's still a different context. That's still two different paths. Don't think because you're interested in the same thing, then that means you need to take the same exact steps. You can help each other out. It's always good to help each other on their path, but it's you. Moving differently is you. And I also like to encourage being weird. Being weird in what you do and what you like and how you enjoy things. That's what's going to set me up. Rather than focusing on people, you need a source of energy. To replenish your energy, you're going to want to do weird things, but according to you. Your zodiac, your personality, whatever it is that how you can really identify yourself, what resonates with you, that's what you should be picking up on. Pick up on that quick and get it down and get on it right away, because that's what's going to replenish you. That's what it's going to be like. It doesn't have to have a purpose. The purpose is that you are exploring. All right? People will be like, why did you do that? Did that have a purpose? It doesn't have to necessarily have a purpose like working out, studying. It could just be some mindless stuff that you're really interested in doing and learning about. That's it. You're going to learn at the end of the day, but it's going to be something on your terms, and you're making a path for yourself. And regardless if anyone follows you or not, you make it to the end of the destination, that pot of gold, people are definitely going to be saying your name. People are definitely going to be looking to you for guidance when it comes to going after their own pot of gold, finding their goals, all right? Learning how to deal with other people in the pursuit of that, how to deal with people. Because now, I like to think that most people's goal in life isn't people in itself, unless you're some kind of humanitarian environmentalist. That's cool, and you make people your priority, your goal. Then, there's a lot. You're going to do a lot of chasing of people, but fortunately for them, they like to help people. They like to help the earth, whatever it is. That's great. I'd say most people don't have that. They're interested in it, but they just don't do that like a 24-hour job. They recycle, they do stuff like that. So you want to understand that your life isn't dedicated to people. It's not dedicated solely to those people. You have to move different. You have to move as if nobody was watching you, right? And when no one is watching you, you move the most comfortably, right? You move the most comfortably when people aren't watching you, because you don't care. You're not thinking about them. There's nobody around. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Only thing that matters is what you're doing in that moment. That's a good living in the moment strategy. That's going to keep you from absorbing the information and getting on the wrong path as far as or getting in somebody else's lane, but it's also it's serving you. It's targeted for you. Just think of it like it's made for you. This is your path. This is your interest. You determine how you want to move in at which pace, right? That's what I didn't mention. It's people who move and you chase them, they move at a different pace. They want you to run. They want you to, when they run, and jog when they jog, and walk when they walk. It's just not possible. Everyone moves at a different pace that they're comfortable with, their natural rhythm. So that's going to be important. That's going to be very important in terms of figuring out when you need to step away, when you need to do that. But you should always find a way to be different in how you like things, right? Your different should be resonate with who you are as a person. Like, I should be able to read what it is you're doing, your habits, the things that you've explored, the books you've read, your search history, and be like, hey, yeah, this matches this person's, what they're talking about. This matches what they said. Like, and then you you could say a couple of sentences, and what you're doing, your actions should be able to back up what you've been doing. Your actions. Your thoughts, your goals. All right? You guys understand what I'm saying. Goals, thoughts match up with your actions, all right? What is you're interested in? Your path. There isn't anyone ahead of you. It's you making your own path. And the sooner you understand that, that's empowering stuff right there. That's going to make you not look back to wonder who's looking behind you, because you're the one who has to forge the path, the path, right? If you have to forge the path, then there's no use in looking behind at the people who are following you. There's no use. They can't help you. They can't help you. You can help you. And doing what you like is so important in a time when we're around each other. We frequently, businesses open back up, and We want to be with each other. Right now, we just want to be with each other. But sure enough, it's going to enter that stage. This information is always relevant, where you're going to be like, hey, yeah, I remember why I wasn't around so many people. Hey, I remember why, I remember the other end of being around so many people and being caught up with so many people and doing the things that I really didn't really believe in, I didn't want to do. I always ask myself that when I'm with a group. I never let that question go by. And I take notes in my head, just like, okay, I'm here with you guys. This is what we're doing. Is this something I would do? Is this something I would do on my own? Is this something I'm interested in? And I found I maybe wasn't as interested in the things that they were interested in, but sometimes I was, and it just wasn't to the degree that they were. And that's okay. I know myself. I don't need to be into it the way you're into it, because I wouldn't be me. That wouldn't be me. And there's reasons I have, personal reasons, and it's completely up to your own discretion how you go about these things. Whatever reasons you create, you don't have to share them. Whatever reasons that already may exist, that you have a strong belief in yourself and what you're capable of, and what you may be able to show the world. So you're not going to be dwelling on other people. You're not going to be dwelling on the idea that other people are going to somehow give you something. You're just going to create it for yourself. You're going to find it for yourself. And don't be afraid to find something different. Don't be afraid to do something different, because it's often that difference that puts you on the right path, that puts you in the position to get something worthwhile, at least worth people chasing and asking you questions and wondering what it is you did to finally get to a point where you were so happy with yourself. That's the only way you're going to replenish yourself when it comes to other people. Other people are going to be a chore, and you have to be willing to take that into account. Take it into account. Factor it up. Tally it all up. Tally the numbers, and you'll see that on average, people, you spend and commit hours of your life, much more hours of your life, of your effort and energy towards other people, and not towards yourself, not towards what you're interested in. It can be the smallest thing, what most seemingly insignificant thing, but it's what you decided, and you're in control of that story. You're in control of the path and where it goes. You're forging ahead, and that's going to inspire people to do the same. And when most of us are forging our own path, then we don't have time to mislead other people, and that just saves so much time, so much energy for the people that are in those particular situations. But when we get back, I'll give you the last piece of the triangle, the last strategy. We're 2 out of 3 in, and we have to get into saying no. All right? We got to learn how to say no, and how that can generate power for us and save a little bit more time. All right? We'll be right back.
GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast gives you advice on everything from hair to fashion to skincare products. We'll talk about the latest trends in makeup, hairstyles, and anti-aging remedies. And we'll cover all of the newest fashion trends. If you have an interest in or questions about the beauty trends that might work best for you, the Golden State Media Concepts Beauty Tips Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Beauty Tips Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hey everyone, glad we're back. We just returned from talking about moving your own way, right? Moving differently. That's what we called it. Moving differently, which was basically just the principle of learning how to be weird according to what you are interested in. The more weird you are, the more different you are, the closer you're going to get to who you're meant to be. All the weird things that people do, the exploring as far as your career, your interests, your passions, be weird in terms of all of that. Be very weird. That's going to help you find out who you are, who you're meant to be. It's that very thing that when you deal with people, it can be discouraged. That kind of thing. We talked about how there's a tendency for them to follow people, to engage in the chase of people, to not move differently, because sometimes it seems better to just fit in than it does to move differently. But fitting in and following and stuff like that, it's not going to help tell you who you are. Think of the craziest person that you follow in terms of their popularity, the things that they have. They're not going to tell you who you are. They're not going to help you get to that next stage in your life, right? So it's only going to be you that's going to get you there. For all the things that they know and they're all good at, they're so great, and you're following them, you're chasing them, you're doing exactly what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, it's great to be inspired by people, it's great to have connections, but it's also great to know when to move. And moving differently is going to encourage you to move in unfamiliar ways you're unfamiliar and you're not exactly comfortable with, so that when you need to trek out on your own and find your own path, you're not going to be this kind of babbling person like I am right now. You're going to be confident in that you've already broken the ice so many times, right? You've had a lot of chances to break the ice, and now you're just a little bit more looser. And you know exactly where to go. I'm sorry, loose. You know where to go. You know exactly the kinds of things that you like. And the only way you figure that out is by being more and more different, being more and more weird. Chasing, however, only gets you so far, catches you up. You may never catch up to your friends, to the people you follow, the people, social media. That's a huge one. You may never catch up to their level. You may be in a position like that. That's great. You should take away, people are great. Have connections. Have all the connections you want, but make sure you know who's on your team. The only person you can be sure is on your team is you. You're the person. You're the leader of your own team. Everyone has a team. We can work together with each other, and that's great to collaborate, but you're your own team no matter what. And the friends that you're following, doing what they're doing, it's not about moving differently. It's about moving how they want you to move. It's about portraying what social dynamic you guys have already kind of established within yourselves. If you don't believe me, just try being something else. Try to be around those people and be something else. Try to be something that they may not be familiar with, and then watch how they run. Watch how they just get uncomfortable. But it's okay, because it's going to be healthy for you to get uncomfortable. It's healthy for you to get familiar with being uncomfortable. That way, you're not going to shy away from the challenge of exploring yourself, exploring who you are. Now, we've arrived at the third strategy in the trifecta that's supposed to stave off this social hunger, this need that we have to satisfy others, this need that we have to have other people see us, which is great, but it's not in extreme excess amounts, which it's at an all-time high. It's at an all-time high. We've always wanted this, but people had to work for it back in the day. You didn't really have the things that we have now. You had to work for it. And it's just not, and word travels a lot faster today. Word travels way quicker. So it's totally different energy we got going. And it's easier to connect with a bunch of strangers. And you feel really the weight of all the people you don't know and all the people you do know and the people whom you have yet to meet. And you can't possibly meet every single person on the earth. You can't. If you met, I think if you tried to spend a day or an hour, one of the two, either of the two, I think if you tried to spend an hour on every single person on the earth, there's like 7 billion people, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. Do you understand? You're not going to make it to very far. You're just not. It's 1 hour on people. I'd like to bet that you're not going to make it. 7 billion people, they're not going to make it, okay? Forget about you. They're not going to make it by the time you get to them. They're not going to be here. You're not going to be here. So it's just, that should say something that you only have time for so many people. This is an excellent way of getting to this point of learning how to say no. Learning how to, chasing people was all about learning how to fit in with your friends and catching up. But learning how to say no is the opposite. It's about autonomy. It's about independence. It's taking the active role in moving differently. Please develop an understanding that as you learn how to say no, you're going to get a head start on life, on the social structure. You're just going to get a head start. You're going to avoid We'll get into that. You're going to get a head start on the things on life, and it's just going to bolster you in the end. You don't have time. This is an extension of moving differently, but a more active role. I'm going to project now. I'm going to project no into the world. You can be positive. The secret of no is that you can be positive, healthy, strong, right? Well off by avoiding these traps that people get into. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of things that make us believe we need people's approval. We need this person all the time. You need people. We all need people. We need each other. But we don't need each other like how we need water. Does that make sense? We don't. It's not like that. You're not going to, you know what I mean? You could be apart for a day, get your stuff done, and then come back together, right? You get your hustle on, you come back in a week, and you get it together, and things are better off. People respect you when you say no. There's a power in saying no. Let me tell you, there was a person, right? There's a person, everyone knows this person. You know, think of the time when you said no to somebody, right? You almost feel like, you might have felt a little uncomfortable, like you might have hurt their feelings. Maybe you thought about it later and thought, what would have happened if I might have said yes to this person? What sights would I have seen? People look back like that. They think, oh, what could have gone differently had I said yes? So no gets this negative connotation. You're a party pooper. You're a Scrooge. And I'm not telling you to be either of those, but I am telling you to be selective, raising selectiveness. Think of how many times. Now, you see how you felt a little bad thinking about the time you might have said no to somebody when they ask you something or whatever the context is. And you're like, no, I'm good. I'm good on that. Sometimes it may be a context you're fine with saying no. That's not the contexts that we're worried about. There's the social contexts where you might feel pressured to do the things that other people are doing. because it'll help you fit, because it will benefit you socially, because you'll get to hang out with these people for a few more hours and they'll become familiar with you, and then that leads to another hangout session where you guys do the same thing. That's what you're working for. It doesn't sound right, but that's essentially what you're working for. Now, when you say no, right? Forget about that. Let's talk about when you've heard someone say no to you. No has a powerful psychological effect. When a person says no, imagine the people you tried to satisfy, right? The people you kind of let down with no. You kind of like, I don't want to do that, right? Now think of the people who kind of almost rub you the wrong way a bit, right? When they said no, right? And you felt almost a little bit left out. Really think about that. Think about that. Think about how you may have felt. You felt like, that's a weird feeling. I don't feel right. It's just like, hey, why not? Why can I not? And let's just use the context of, say, people are playing a game. They're like, no, you can't play with us. And you're like, well, why not? I want to play. I want to have fun, right? I want to be able to enjoy as much as you're enjoying, and it's not fair. It's just not right. Who are you to tell me no? So you get all these defensive feelings, right? You start puffing up your chest. You start standing up for yourself. It's good. It's good. It's a good growth experience, because it's that moment that you decide, hey, these people's opinion of me, that's not it. This can't be it. If you just hear no sometimes and you say yes, some people say yes to no. There are no's that you get that you can't do anything about, right? You don't get the job. No, I didn't. Did you get the job? No, I didn't. Well, there's really nothing you do. Try harder. Try go to another job. There are things you can do. You can work around no's, but some are less flexible. And it causes, it's great because you immediately start thinking, what, are they too good for me? Is that job too good for me? What's going on here? What did I do wrong? You put it on yourself, right? That's the anxiety end of social networking and bonding. That's the anxiety end that we're always afraid of, that no matter what, no matter how many people you meet up, when you're trying to meet new people, you're afraid, right? You're so afraid that you'll chase them, do whatever they do, say yes to everything. You're so afraid. You put on this front. You don't move differently. Rather than moving differently, you move exactly how everyone else does. You do things exactly just like in unison. That's what you do. Because no is a powerful thing. And the same way you experience no, people experience no the same way. That's why you have to understand. Don't be afraid to say no. You're afraid to say no because you're afraid when you get no. Right? When you get the word no, it almost like shuts you down to saying no, to using that power. But it's a superpower. If you became more comfortable with saying no, you wouldn't be worried when people said no to you. You'd be like, all right, and vice versa. They feed each other, right? So you're afraid to get the word no. Just instead of feeling fear, understand what they're feeling. Understand that those feelings that you don't understand that they're feeling, that they don't really express to you. And that's what you need to use with people at the right time. Not indiscriminately, just letting people down. Like, hey, no. Do you want to go? No. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to do anything. No. That's not what I'm saying. But using it selectively as a tool of empowerment and autonomy to let people know that your time is valuable. You are valuable. And the same way you've been said no is the same way that you move differently and you can say no. And when no starts to empower you, you're not afraid to say it. You don't feel bad with saying it. You become comfortable with the culture of no, with the culture of things not going according to everyone else's plans. I'm fine with that. Right? A lot of people get tantrums. They don't know how to deal with no. Don't be one of them. I want to thank you guys on behalf of GSMC Health Podcast. This is the GSMC Health Wellness Network. Make sure you subscribe, like us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all right? Check us out. Peace.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Health and Wellness Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.